All right, in this episode, we talk about weighted balls,
Steve Delabar,
and the grind.
All right, Brent Porcio, Adam Garcia, Stephen Godani, the @TopVelocity #PitchingTips show, where you go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and @TopVelocity #PitchingTips. You ask your question about pitching or anything we do here at Top Velocity, and we're going to answer it on the show. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, help us get it out there, and also keep asking questions because we're enjoying doing this show for you. So what's the question for today?
Tyler Olson asks, are weighted ball holds beneficial? Steve Delabar had success.
All right, I've gotten this question before for a while. Of course, I want to credit, it's a great story to Steve Delabar. Couldn't probably happen to a better guy. Just my issues with it, I'm going to tell you right up front. Weighted baseballs, if we look at studies on it, does show a velocity increase. I mean, think about it, it's resistance. Of course it's going to increase velocity, but the velocity increases on average, I think, are 2 to 3 miles per hour, at probably at best, on average, when you look at this case study. So, of course, weighted ball works. As far as the holds, it's a different technique to hold on to it in some of your throws and to release, and that's just going to help create the arm. It's going to force the arm to internally rotate quicker, which is good biomechanics. And it's going to also strengthen those muscles. But still, we don't have to hold on a ball to do that. We can still do that I have a little tool we do it with. It's a similar approach. We can also just teach good pronation skills, which typically is the result of good external rotation pronation. And we can also then strengthen it in a good, light dumbbell routine, all of our trap work, our serratus work, everything that we do in the upper body to make the arm healthy is I think a better approach than you just going out and holding onto a ball and holding it. And once again, I think those have been sold by this weighted ball approach are just looking for the one thing. And I think that's the problem here. Now, have I had a lot of guys come into my program because they didn't get the results they wanted in a weighted ball program? Of course. But I'm sure I've had guys probably go into other programs because they didn't like the 3X program. Usually they didn't get the results because they didn't do it. They didn't like the 3X program. But it goes both ways. But the problem is, like I said, if you're looking for one thing, then yeah, weighted balls is perfect for you, but you're probably not going to get the results you want. But in the case of Steve Delabar, let's be careful here as well, and I'll be careful in saying this, but if you look at his story, if you really want to use him as the example, it'd be like just using me as example. I developed this technique after rotator cuff surgery. I don't always use myself as example. I like to use Adam as an example who went 88 to 94, or use, Kevin Schultz or David Ardsma or Bob Wheatley or Jeff Bork or David Thompson or Mitchell Seawald or Eric Mozica, all my testimonials. I'd rather use them because those were healthy guys coming into it that had this success. Because if you want to use Steve Delabar as the example with the med ball approach, the problem is everybody wants to ignore his surgery. What did he do? He completely destroyed the ulnar bone. The whole joint exploded, which makes me wonder, and this is something that we need to look into, but did he have a prior injury for years that caused such a devastating break in his plane, in his injury? Maybe he had a prior injury that kept him more of a high 80s, low 90s guy. So when he had the surgery after that, now does he have a healthy arm? Does that give some of the velocity increase? At the same time too, they put an entire plate in his arm with 6 screws, and it was a revolutionary surgery. I think the doctor got a lot of accolades for what he had done. No one had ever done that before. So how did that surgery influence the integrity of the elbow? Maybe the added weight could be an increase. We were talking maybe just like how they play with the weight on the bats, that could have aided in the velocity. And at the same time too, in a weighted ball program that he did pretty intently, being a pro guy, he understands work ethic. He probably hit that 2 to 3 mile an hour increase. So say his best highest pitch was a 92 before, or I think he said he was hitting 93, he just never was consistent there. So 93 before, and then 97 after. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 4 miles an hour of an increase. So say I made a 4 to 5 mile an hour increase. So maybe you got the 3 from the weighted ball, and maybe another 2 from the surgery. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking how this works in just using a weighted ball approach with the holds. That could be the case. Now, if you're going to go out and you want the same results, I'm going to say this, but you probably should take a sledgehammer to your elbow first to fracture the ulnar nerve so you can put the plate in, because if you want the same results, you're probably going to have to go down the same road. So that's the way I look at it. And that's why when I took my approach and I implemented it with other guys, I wanted to see how well it worked. Did it just work for me, or was it my surgery that had done it? My surgery at the time was a supraspinatus tear, shaving off the acromion, nothing there. I was actually told I would throw slower because of the loss of integrity in the joint. So there was nothing there telling me that I was going to be in a place to throw harder. So I wanted to still see was it my training, or was maybe something happened. And what I found was it was more the training. But I implement a weighted ball in my level 3, and I bring it in specifically doing the drill. But overall, here's my thing, if we were just talking weighted balls and not the Steve Delabar success story, is the problem with weighted bars is we're just loading the end of the chain. So if we're just going to load the end of the chain, we'll get something there, but that's probably why we're only getting the 2 to 3. How do we get the 10, the 15 that will come out of this program in a low velocity guy? Is because we go down here and we load the legs, we load the core, and then we load the arm. So we have so much more potential to gain speed when we're not just loading the arm. Anything you want to say?
A lot of people like to go in the weighted balls and stuff like that because, I don't know, I feel like, or how am I trying to say this? It's a quick fix in a lot of things like long toss and the weighted balls and stuff like that. It's not really like a full body approach with full body conditioning and actually trying to get your body more explosive to become a better athlete to throw harder. You're just basically throwing a weighted ball.
Have you ever done a weighted ball program?
I've thrown weighted balls before, but not a full weighted ball program.
Okay. What do you think?
Gosh, I had a whole thing planned out in my head that
Have
I was
you ever
gonna
done a
say.
weighted ball program?
No, I've never done a weighted ball program, but
I've done a weighted ball program. I did it back in, I think 90, maybe it was 89. I'm gonna give it to Dick Mills. Dick Mills, may he rest in peace. Dick Mills actually put out in the 80s, or maybe early 90s, he put out a weighted ball program using a softball, a t-ball, and a baseball. And I did that. I had maybe 1 to 2 in doing that.
yeah, I just wanted to say, I think weighted balls is kind of going along with a lot of conventional wisdom too. Like, a lot of people see that as an option for increasing velocity, which obviously, through the studies, it is. Like they say, you average 2 to 3 miles per hour, and I'm sure there's a lot of guys that have tried that, but all those guys that have tried that, how many of them has it actually taken to 90, 95, gotten, like Brent's saying, that 10, 15 mile per hour increase? And then it's like, okay, so if that's your approach and you want to have the Steve Delabar story, okay, are you throwing 93? Are you 6 foot? Were you throwing 93 before? Are you 6'9"? I think people see this and they're like, oh, he did the weighted ball program. That's gonna be me. I'm gonna be 97. But hey, you weren't 6'9". You weren't throwing 93 before that. You didn't have the surgery, like he said, and he got those gains. He got the 4 mile per hour gains with it and got to 97. That's awesome. Wow, all the power to him. That's a great story. But then people see that, and how many people try weighted balls that they never get to 90, 95. And then when you look at Brent's program and all the testimonials that he has more 90 plus mile per hour testimonials than any other program out there. So that for itself, I think, speaks to, hey, there's a better approach. And it's not like we don't use the weighted balls. You use level 3, you have weighted balls in it too. So it's not like we disregard weighted balls. There is a benefit to them. But if you're that guy who needs to make that 10, 15, 20 mile per hour jump, you need more than just weighted balls. And I think that's where the full body training approach, learning the mechanics, Brent's program comes in, because it really is amazing. All the testimonials, as much as people want to discredit it, you can talk to all these guys, text them, hit them up on Facebook or something. Hey, does this work? It's ridiculous how much you have to put out of testimonials for people to finally be like, wow, you know what, I get it, open my eyes, there is an approach to it. And it baffles me that people haven't thought on it.
Yeah, and you know what? As much as we get frustrated when we hear a more simplistic one kind of exercise approach. If you do weighted balls, I've had guys in my program who got, say, 5 miles an hour out of my program, and of course I felt like they needed to keep cycling through, but for some reason they just had a real desire to try the weighted balls because they just wanted to prove it. I'm like, go do it, man. I'm all for it. Sure. Same thing. I want to just do extreme long toss. All for it, but understand it's contraindicated to this approach. So leave this approach and go do it, or do it before coming in this approach. I'm fine with that. I actually like guys who come into the camp that's been to Jaeger, that's been to Wolfworth, that's been to Driveline, that's been to all those other guys out there. I like those guys because they've done their homework and they have a really good understanding of what's going on. Plus they tell me how my is different, or how 3X pitching is different, and the pros and cons of it. I'm all for that. So I actually like that a lot better than the kid who comes in and this is the first thing he's ever seen, because I know they're going to be scared very easily. These guys that have come to me with all this experience, but all these other guys, they're not scared at all. They have a really good understanding of why they're here. So, for example, that's what I'm saying. If you want to do a weighted ball program, do it. But we're going to tell you right now, you're not going to find your answer. Okay? We truly believe you'll find your answer more here, but go do it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But you're going to eventually want to come and learn what we're doing here.
But at the same time too, it's not like just saying that this is like, if you come here, this is like you're gonna get it. Like there's a reason why so many people quit like doing this before they get to their goals, because it's hard. Like I'm not gonna lie to you, like it hurts. Like putting yourself, like trying to make your body change, like teaching yourself a new way to throw and then building that power, like it's not easy. That's why everyone doesn't do it. Like it hurts to try to develop power. Like squatting heavy hurts. Like we're coming in every day and like having the mentally to be like, hey, I'm gonna keep pushing, I'm gonna keep pushing, I'm gonna keep pushing, and it's gonna happen. Like it takes a lot out of you, and that's why so many people just give up. So it's like, it's not just this guarantee, it's what you get out, what you put in, but I think the results speak for themselves in the testimonials.
And there's also like a lot of frustration too. I mean, coming in, you're trying to change the way that you're throwing, you're trying to change your body. It's really frustrating. Say one day you throw great and the next day you don't throw great, and you get in your head.
Definitely.
And you can really mess with yourself right there, but you really have to stick to it, and you really have to grind to see the results that you want to see, that everybody in here coming to train is trying to see, try to get into 90 plus mile an hour.
And most people just fold. Like most people come in and they hit that first peak, like we say, peaks and valleys, and they hit that first peak and they go, you know what, not for me.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, a lot of guys will come in and they haven't trained before, and they start training really hard for a couple weeks, and all of a sudden their body starts to break down because they haven't trained before, and say they were throwing 85, 86, and all of a sudden the week they go down to 81, 82, but then all of a sudden 3 or 4 weeks later now they're 87, 88, because you let your body recoup and you let the training progress, and then everything eventually hits together, and that's when you see the jump. You don't see it in the beginning. It's going to be a lot of peaks and valleys before you really see it come together.
Right, and the unfortunate thing is that a lot of you guys that are watching this, you hear all this stuff and you're like, I don't want to do that, I'm just going to do weighted balls. Unfortunately, weighted balls becomes that program for the lazy, for the uncommitted, for the quick fix, the tweak. The tweakers want to go to weighted balls. Unfortunately, the weighted balls gets those guys, and we definitely we don't want those guys. So if you're a guy who's like, you're right, it's not going to be something quick, a little exercise, a little extra weight on my throws that's going to get me to be a big leaguer one day. It's going to be something like 3X where it's a grind every day, just like Major League Baseball is a grind every day. I mean, ask David Ardsma. It's a grind, and you'll hear other big leaguers talk about it. It's a grind. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do, every day, and we all want that experience, but trying to shortcut it, trying to cheat it, trying to tweak it to get there, good chance it's not going to get you there, right?
Also, like what in life isn't a grind that's worth doing? Like what in life that you actually have to work hard, you want to be good at, isn't a grind? There's nothing in life that's like, hey, you know what, I want to be successful doing this and it's easy. I don't have to put in any work.
Why do you think when you look at some of these well-known big leaguers, they didn't come from great D1 schools, or they weren't first-round draft picks? Because the guys that came in the hard way, they accepted the grind earlier and they went farther because of it. Those guys were the first-round draft picks who they find in a bar doing blow and is arrested, and their life goes into the toilet. It's because it was handed to them, and eventually gets a point where it's hard to wake up every morning and be successful is something that was pretty much given to you. You didn't have to earn it to get to that place. So there's a lot to be said on on how you go into something. If you go in something with everyone just giving you here it is, here's your opportunity, really good chance that it's not going to manifest into a career or manifest into your dreams. But if you go into something where it's like, hey, you don't belong here, you're not good enough, and they're pushing you down, and you fight through it, you grind through it. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to change my body. I'm going to develop myself into a high velocity pitcher. I'm going to make it to Major League Baseball. There's a really good chance you manifest your dream. You manifest a great career, and you're like a David Ardsma, who we've been around, who that's his life. And so the point is be careful, because you choose a weighted ball program, or I wouldn't say weighted ball program, but if you look for a program that's just saying, hey, this is quick and easy, just come here, this is quick and easy, it could be very much setting you up to not prepare you for the grind, which is really what it's all about.
3X Velocity life coaching.
Yeah.
You guys should call us and we'll come speak at your school.
Yeah. But I also think a big thing for me too is that originally when I came down here, when I first came down to the first camp, Brent asked everybody that was coming down, what's your goal velocity and how hard do you want to throw? And everybody was saying like low 90s, and I said 95, and I had that number in my head. And now that I've come down and I've already reached 94 so quick, I could just say, okay, well, I'm almost there. I could just quit now because I already have the velocity. I could just push it off and just stay where I'm at. But I think the big key for me and everybody here is that even if when you do get the gains, you need to want more. You need to keep pushing yourself, because the only thing that's going to get you to the next level is that if you keep pushing yourself and keep striving for more. That's what the great players do.
Right, and I remember a great story I heard, could have it wrong because it's through the grapevine, was Jake Peavy, when he was coming up, he got a chance to, in I think the All-Star game, to play with Roger Clemens, and he asked Roger Clemens, what's the best piece of advice you'd give a rookie? And he said, never comfortable. He goes, you should never ever allow yourself to be comfortable in this game, because the moment you become comfortable, you've lost. Mm-hmm. He says, so therefore that's the grind. That should define the grind, right? Letting yourself get comfortable is you're taking yourself out of the grind. You're never going to push yourself to your limits and to your dreams and your goals and well above your potential if you let yourself be comfortable. So looking for programs that are comfortable and fit into your little comfort zones is probably not the best approach, and to trying to develop yourself into a machine, into a badass, like what we're trying to do here at Top Velocity with 3X Pitching. So great question. I hope we answered it. Like I said, I don't want this to be me just bashing all those other programs out there. I encourage you to go do those programs. At the same time too, come and check out my program as well. So if you have a question, go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and at Top Velocity, hashtag pitching tips, ask your question, and we're gonna answer it on the show. And like I said, go check out TopVelocity.net to learn more about 3X pitching and how we do it here. And at the same time too, if there's any other questions you have on what we do or any other approaches out there, we'd be glad to answer them on the show. So go out there and ask your question. We'll see you on the next episode.
Voice.